June is Dairy Month, and I am excited to be a part of a collaboration with 33 different YouTubers from all over, and we're all sharing how we celebrate and use dairy in our lives. Here at Kowalski Mountain, we use homemade goat's milk soap, and I can't wait to show you how easy it is. Hey friends, it's Barbara Sue from Kowalski Mountain, and welcome back to our channel. I am super excited to be a part of this collaboration on YouTube hosted by the Inquisitive Farm Wife and the Mennonite Farmhouse. Now, this collaboration has 33 YouTubers from big channels to small channels to everybody in between, and all of us are sharing how we use dairy. Now here at Kowalski Mountain, I started making goat's milk soap several months ago, and it was very intimidating to make soap for the very first time. I watched so many videos and learned so much about life safety as I dove into this big world of soap making. Now, soap making is an art, and some people make very elaborate soaps that are very artistic with lots of additives and colors and fancy techniques. I make simple soap. They're not fancy, they're not colorful, they're not full of all these crazy things that are going to clog up my drains. They're just soap, and I have to say, I really like it. Now, this peppermint soap, this is my absolute favorite. I love how it smells. I love washing with it. I put oatmeal in this soap, and it's just so nice to take a shower with because you can feel that oatmeal and it's exfoliating as you wash. Now, Philip doesn't like the oatmeal in his soap, and so I am going to be making him some special soap that does not have any oatmeal in it. Now, unfortunately, we do not have any goats. We have purchased our very first dairy animal. I'd like you to meet Eleanor. She is a Dexter heifer that we are purchasing to become the very first milk cow on Kowalski Mountain. Now, I'm so excited about having her. I have always dreamed of having red calves. Now, unfortunately, because we don't have any goats or dairy animals that are milking, I use powdered milk in my goat's milk soap. Now, I have used canned milk, and I did not care for canned milk in my soap. For one, when you dilute that milk, it does not come back to that creamy white color of real goat's milk, and I just didn't care for it. So I switched to the powdered goat's milk, and this has been a really good substitute. When I mix this up, it smells and looks just like goat's milk that I remember from when we had goats as a kid. Now, unfortunately, it's not a raw goat's milk, but maybe someday that will be in our future. But for now, while we are in the time of waiting in our life, we use this as our classroom, and learning to make soap was one of those things that I've learned. Now, one of the reasons that we really like the homemade goat's milk soap is, for one, we know exactly what's in this. We all know in this world that we live in that they are adding so many additives to everything that we use, from food to cosmetics to beauty products. Everything has questionable ingredients in it anymore, and it's just really satisfying and comforting to know exactly what's in this soap. The other thing I really like about it is after I wash with my homemade soap, I actually feel clean. You know how you take a shower with like a body wash and you wash and you go to rinse it off and you rinse and you rinse and you rinse because it still feels like you have residue on your body. You don't feel that with the homemade soap at all. It rinses clean and you feel clean when you're finished. Now, goat's milk soap is so good for your skin. It's nourishing, it's full of good fats and vitamins that are good for your skin. It's good for acne and psoriasis and all kinds of things that ail our skin because it is a good clean product. Now I keep my soap in these little trays. This soap is going to be coming out in a video in the near future. This is my tick repellent soap, and I haven't released my video yet because I want to really test out how well it repels ticks. Now in the spring it passed the test, but the true test is this summer. So we'll see what I think about the tick repelling soap. Now my favorite one is this peppermint soap, and amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then of course I go back to the place that it all started. I made lavender honey oat soap to use my homegrown loofahs in. Now my homegrown loofahs are embedded right into the soap, and they make another way to make the soap exfoliating. And this is one of those things people love or hate. They either like that loofah in there or they don't like it at all. Now the soap that I'm making today is especially for Philip, and it is called the Sexy Wild Man soap. Now I have been searching for a soap that had a fragrance that was especially appealing to men, and I stumbled upon this one. This soap is an essential oil blend of cedarwood, cinnamon, and lemongrass. Now I first saw this soap recipe on Healing Harvest Homestead, and I'm going to use her essential oil blend. However, I'm using my own soap recipe and making a cold processed soap instead. So let's go check it out. Now when you're making soap, we are using sodium hydroxide, and you want to be sure to follow the safe soap making guidelines. And I'm going to be sure to put some links in the description box below so that you can learn about safe soap making. Now let's go ahead and glove up and get started here. Now you'll notice I'm wearing long sleeves. It is a summer day here in Florida and it is hot, but that doesn't change the fact that I need to wear complete safety gear whenever working with lye. Now for my recipe, I need 112 grams of sodium hydroxide. Now when making soap, lye heats up when it's mixed with water. Since I'm working with milk, milk can scald as it heats up. So to help prevent scalding of milk, we freeze the goat's milk ahead of time so that it is cold to start with. I need 228 grams of goat's milk. Now to further keep the milk from scalding, we use an ice bath to also keep this as cold as we possibly can so we don't burn our milk. Now let's go ahead and add the lye. Now when we're working with the lye, we're just going to add just a little bit at a time. And when you first start mixing it in, it doesn't really look like it's doing anything. You're just kind of moving it around, pushing it around, but it doesn't really look like anything is happening when it comes to a chemical reaction. But if you'll notice, we're starting to see some liquid on the bottom of our bowl. And that means that the lye is at work and it's starting to interact with our goat's milk. Now I only put in a little bit of lye at a time to work with it so we don't overwhelm and scald our milk. Now this process takes time. We just keep stirring. Now I am working outside. When you're working with lye, you want to work in a well-ventilated area. And you can do this in the house, that's fine. We live in an RV, which is a very small space, and I don't know that it's ventilated as well as a house could be. So just to be safe, I always make my soap outside. I don't want to overwhelm our animals or our family with this, with the fumes from the lye. Now I've had this problem the last couple times I've made soap, that the lye doesn't want to come out of the jar. And it's either the brand of lye I bought, or more likely it's the humidity. Now you can see that the milk ice cubes are almost completely melted. And we want to stir this quite a bit longer than we think we need to, because in a milk-based soap, you can't see if the lye is completely dissolved. Now it does give me some signs, like on the edges I can see little chunks of lye. So that shows me that there's still lye in my soap mixture. Now the ice cubes, or the milk cubes, are about dissolved, but I'm still seeing that residue on the edge of my pan. Now, as always, I'm using my recipe from Holly's soap making for the base of my soap. I use the oil blend that she recommends. Now, whenever making soap, I put my recipe into SoapCalc, and SoapCalc is really easy to use. It shows me, it adjusts the recipe for me. It does all the math, which is amazing. While I might be a bit of a science nerd, I am not a math nerd, so I really need the help of SoapCalc. And it also allows me to make adjustments based on the soap mold I'm going to use. If you don't have the same equipment as me, you can adjust your recipe by using SoapCalc. We're getting closer with this mixture. Now it's important to make sure the lye is completely dissolved, because otherwise it can irritate your skin. All right, let's check the temperature. The temperature also tells us if the lye is completely dissolved, because it will continue to go up. And you notice it just went down. So that tells me that this is okay to continue. Now I've already melted the coconut butter, the shea butter, and the coconut oil, and those are melted. Now we need to add our liquid oils. So olive oil, I need 313 grams of olive oil. And I'm going to add that to my other oils. Next up is the avocado oil. Now I always measure my oils in a separate bowl. You'll see a lot of soap makers don't do that, but I'm not as good at getting it precise yet. So just to be careful, I always measure it separately. That way I can take a little bit out if I need to. Last up is castor oil. Now castor oil gives the soap lots of bubbles. Stir this around a little bit. This is still at 100 degrees. Let me see how my lye mixture is. It's at about 64. Now normally I would add oatmeal to my soap, to my oil at this time in the process, but Philip doesn't like oatmeal in his soap. He wants a smooth bar of soap, so at his request there is no oatmeal in this soap. Now personally, I like the exfoliation of the oatmeal. So we're going to go ahead and add the oils to the lye, and I'm going to pour it over the spatula to help reduce the number of bubbles in the mix. Now this is where saponification is going to start to happen. Now I do a combination of using the stick blender and the spatula, and we're looking for medium trace. Now trace means the thickness of the soap. Now you'll notice I don't have any fancy colorants or anything fancy in our soap. I keep it as natural as possible. You'll see that it's making lines across the top, but they're not holding their shape, so we are not at medium trace yet. We're getting closer. Now the essential oil blend that I'm using today, I found online. I found from a website called the Healing Harvest Homestead. And while I'm not using her soap making process or even her recipe, I am using her essential oil blend. This essential oil blend is a blend of cedarwood, cinnamon, and lemongrass. It's mixed at 1 part lemongrass, 2 parts cinnamon essential oil, and 3 parts cedarwood. Now I'm going to be sure to put my recipe in SoapCalc, and you'll be able to see my recipe. You will want to calculate it based on the size of your molds. Now my trace is really good here. Let's go ahead and add in our essential oil blend. Now essential oils can accelerate trace, so I need to be ready to work. Now I'm just using a standard mold. These are really affordable on Amazon. All right, now I'm going to give this a tap to get the air bubbles out of my soap. Now using a spoon, I'm going to shape the top of my soap loaf. Now this is not as easy as it looks. Before I learned how to make soap, I watched a ton of videos, and they made this look so easy. It's not. Right now I'm just trying to even it out a little bit, so all the bars of my soap will be the same size. And now I'm going to try my best to give it a little texture on the top so it looks cool. Now I didn't add any additives to this soap. I don't mind adding the oatmeal. I actually like the exfoliation. But you'll notice I don't have any fancy flowers in my soap. I didn't put any fancy herbs into it. All of those things end up going down your drain. And, you know, we live in an RV. I have to be careful of my systems. See how I told you this is not as easy? All right, gonna leave well enough alone. That's as good as it's gonna get. Now this is gonna go into the freezer and it's gonna stay there for 24 hours and stop the saponification process. Keep this cold because that lye is still heating up the milk and can still burn it. Now I also want to stop gel phase. If it goes through gel phase, it won't be the end of the world, but I kind of like it without. So we want to lower the temperature to stop the gel phase. Now I'm going to come back when it's time to cut the soap and you can see how it came out. Now my sexy Wildman soap has come out of the freezer and it's been sitting curing for a few days just at room temperature, and it's time to unmold it. Now I really like using these molds because they're very easy to get the soap out of because of these silicone molds. They're very easy to do. We're just going to pop this out of here. Now it does look like my soap has gone through a little gel phase. You can see how it's turning a little bit orange. And gel phase isn't bad. Actually, some people prefer their soap to go through gel phase. It changes the color and the brightness of the soap. We don't usually encourage it with goat's milk soap because gel phase is caused by the soap continuing to heat up and it can scorch the milk. Now, I do keep my soap in the freezer for the first 24 hours. So it does stop it from that, but I can definitely see that it did go through some gel phase, but the color is kind of interesting. The fragrance is interesting. I will be very interested to see what Philip thinks about it. Now, because I don't make a lot of soap, I don't have any fancy soap cutting tools. I just have a big knife. You can definitely see the gel phase on the inside. I think I know my last 2 batches of soap have gone through gel phase, and I think the reason is because when I put this in the freezer, I put it in a plastic bag. Now, I do not have a designated freezer for soap making, and essential oils can be absorbed into your food, and I don't want my food to taste the way my soap smells. So I keep my loaf of soap in a plastic bag while it's in the freezer, and I think that is accentuating this, but I'm not willing to not use the bag. So I honestly think it's pretty. Now, Philip specifically requested a soap that did not have oatmeal in it. He wanted a smooth soap. Now, the recipe that I found, this essential oil blend, she actually put cinnamon in her soap as well as the cinnamon essential oils. And I really wanted to do that, but since Philip had requested a smooth soap, I opted not to add the cinnamon. I just really like this color. Well, friends, now this soap is going to need to fully cure. It takes about 6 weeks for soap to fully cure. Right now it's very soft. If I were to shower with it right now, it would just melt away and it wouldn't be long lasting. And we don't want that to happen. We want this to fully cure or dry out and be its best. That also allows the pH to continue to neutralize as it continues to go through saponification. Now, to cure my soap, I have a cookie sheet. I put it on the cookie sheet where it has air underneath and around. The soap is all spread out, and I just let it cure. And then once it is fully cured, it will go into the baskets that you saw previously. Well, friends, I hope that I have shown you that while soap making does require that you follow safe soap making practices and handle lye with care, it's really not scary at all. And I actually really enjoy doing it. Now, on July 5th at the Inquisitive Farm Wife's channel, there will be a live event where we are going to give away the grand prize and all of the other donated prizes, including some Kowalski Mountain soap. Now, that will be on July 5th at 5 p.m. Central Time. And to enter, you need to watch as many of the videos and leave a heartfelt comment for my co-collaborators. Thank you so much for watching. Now, as always, we appreciate you watching our channel and helping us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We can't do it without you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.